Okay, let me see. Mm, is Shak here? Oh yeah, Shak. Yesterday you mentioned about your second dose appointment. Is it next week? Clash with our class? Or this week? Tomorrow? Tomorrow. Then it's okay. I thought it was uh, clash with the demo for your prototype next week. So tomorrow lah. Okay. Noted. So are you going to apply for leave? Okay. You can go to the intranet. Hang on, I think I have it somewhere in my advisory. Let's see. Oh, this one. How to submit an attendance leave application. Shak, you can see this one, right? From the student intranet, there's an attendance leave. Okay, lepas tu, you need to fill up the date, reason, and upload the supporting document. So your file size should not exceed 5 meg. And then the format is PDF, DOC, and so on. Okay. Yeah, for 1 day, tiada half day. So my diploma student, he applied for leave, but then he he's in my lecture, and then I asked him, I thought you already applied for leave, and then after your class, miss, then I will go off. And then so in the attendance I saw that it's already been approved leave, but then I just put the status lah. Even though it's leave, then I put there attended morning class. Since he make the effort to attend the morning class. Okay, so this is how you apply for the attendance. And then you can cancel the submitted application only if the status is still pending approval lah. Attend best friend wedding, somehow it's not approved according to this example. I think depend on the KL staff. Or who's going to approve? Or for yours would be Miss Teng. Okay, so hopefully that one helps. As for today, we should have our morning exercise. Okay, oh yeah, and then later we'll check this one, our Jamboard. And I received reply from my CC, okay, regarding our practical. Notice that for my practical 5, where is it? My practical 5. My demo first. And then in this demo, step 9, I didn't test user with admin role, correct? Because I was still waiting for my CC to reply. Okay, so this is her reply. As I answer about the practical 5, we need to create roles, the student role, how to create the student role. And then there's a slide in that mention about roles need to be manually coded with the class name listed, with the list of functions listed. So I asked my CC for examples. And then this is her reply. There's no administration website, means we no longer have the access to the administration website tool where we can create user, we can create roles, and then add user to the role. No more. Okay, there is no administration website to manage the users and roles anymore. So here she mentioned just use the built-in functions for web forms. So in web forms, if you refer to a practical, we are using the login controls, right? Okay, as long as you register your database as the ASP.NET membership provider, then you should be able to at least create the users. And then I also asked about the creating of the credential in the web config, okay, the credential elements. She mentioned that not necessary, so no need to add in the user's credential in the web config as well. Okay, so I hope you take note. The I also shared this last week, the retired content from Docs Microsoft way back at 2010, how to use the role manager. Um, this is where it shows the coding. Okay, but we don't have the example in our slides. This is what I found from the documentation. Um, Create and assign roles. Okay, our notes is up until enabling the role manager. Okay, setting enable to true. But then we can no longer access this. Okay, it's no longer there. If it's already there, we can simply go to the security tab and create the roles. Uh, um, I tried to use the admin administrator. I was unable to do that. Okay, let me see where's the code. Role-based authorization. All these are the C sharp. Where's the C sharp? Page load. Yeah, this is the script. Okay, get roles for users, and so on. Okay, just to let you all know lah, that it is no longer there. Okay, the reply that I get from my um, RCC. So make it simple for you lah. That's why for the practical 5 lab exercise, I did mention that do this without creating any roles. uh, Assume that this specific user is this is an artist. Okay. Uh, so I will see your creativity. I'm sure you can be very creative, especially for those who have uh, like take up 2 web application development courses. Okay, without creating any roles. Okay, that's it. Okay, for the lab exercise, just cover whatever that I show in the demo video and submit. Next week is already the your demo for your prototype. Okay, so I'm still waiting for these students. Okay, let me see. Okay, remove, save. Okay, for more students, just submit what we have covered in the demo video. I just want to make it simple for you. I don't want you to miss out on contributing to your prototype. To contribute to your prototype, you should at least have done the demo practice lah. Just cover what has been shown in the demo practice. That should be okay. All right. Even though there's a normally in our exercise there's a extra, right? You can ignore that. So I want these students. Okay. Mm, Okay, two more here. Just to make an effort, complete the exercise. Uh, as long as you have completed this, then more or less you have the basics, you have the fundamentals knowledge on how to go about the to contribute with the assignment. Okay, boleh kan? Kelvin, Farah, Alvin. All right. Now, I believe everyone is here. Is it? I have, hang on. I have 15 students. Okay, 15 students. Oh, one more. Oh, yeah. How? He applied for leave today, so I think we can start with our quizzes, membership enroll games. Okay, hang on. We start with our morning exercise. Already posted the quizzes live game link here. Okay, so go ahead and join. So this today's live game, quizzes live game, is about membership and role management. 5 questions to see whether you'll have the understanding of the concept covered in last week lecture note. Okay, one more. All right, so I'll click start. Okay, enjoy. Yes, so we're finishing already. So a little while soon. Hang on, ah. Yeah, I noticed that, Daniel. Are you bored with the same background sound? Hopefully not. Ah, yeah, ka. Ivan. Oh. Because of the timer, this one has timer, right? If there's no timer, I believe you are more relaxed in answering. I'm still using. Oh, you was reading. Ah, it's by default. Because I have the basic account. If I have the money, oh, the result is out. Well, Russell is the first now. Uh, oh, there's no mastery. Ah, okay. If I have the money, then I upgrade the super. Then I can like customize, choose whatever setting that I want. But it's okay, I believe. Let's see. Oh, 64%. Mm, oh, because last week we have absent students who were absent. I checked from the intranet attendance to students that in fact applied for leave. Okay. Let me hang on. I share the practice link because how he applied for leave. So I need to at least allow him to do this practice. Okay, practice link. So hopefully, if he watched the video, okay, you can just try the practice link before watching the rest of the meet recording. Right. Okay, let's see. Uh, toughest question. The toughest question. Question number one. Ah, okay. The ASP.NET, in fact, provides two types of services. One is the membership management, and the other one is the role. I believe it's the role management service. So for membership management, it's about authenticating user and provide login controls. This is what we have covered in our practical. Okay, we use login controls to authenticate our users. The one that is currently not available for us anymore is the authorization. Authorization is not under membership management. Okay, next, longest question. Question number three. Question number three. When the server receives the request, a cookie, the moment you see cookie, it should be forms. I think last week, Kelvin, you asked about cookie, right? Okay, a cookie is written to the user's local machine, and this cookie is passed back to the server, okay, so that we can get the user to be remain authenticated. For the Microsoft account, it is using the, what do you call that? The passport, the ticket, the HTTP credential. Okay, that's why now it's also known as passport, Microsoft passport, Microsoft account. For Windows, it's using the Active Directory. Okay, any more? One question set an accuracy of less than 40%. Which one is it? The question number one. Yeah, question number one. All right. Okay, how about we take a look at the rest of the question. This type of ASP.NET authentication are for intranet, definitely it's for Windows. Okay, it's for the Windows authentication because if you already have this Active Directory users account, might as well just use that if you want to allow this user to access to your web application available in the through the company intranet. Question number four. Okay. So this is the login control. Make sure you, if you have used it for your practical, I believe you will know which one is it. Okay, let me see. Question number four. Okay, login view. Shark or login. Login is does it display any? No, no display. Just the control to perform login. Login status, not login status as well. Okay. Oh, what's happening? And login status and login view. Yep. From the name, it's difficult for us to really differentiate it unless you still remember from your practical. Okay, and the last question was select the correct authorization for the web config. Assuming that we want to have the setting authorization for the staff folder, whereby we want the staff role and admin role can access all files. So allow, we should have this allow lah, allow roles admin, allow role staff. And then all users must log in to view all the pages. So which one? Is it the question mark or the asterisk? Let me see. 5 students in, at least a majority got this correct. Let me see. Kelvin. Kelvin, you forgot about the deny. Okay. Wong. Oh, okay. You forgot about the admin role. Okay. Forgot about the deny. Yeah, forgot about the deny. Yeah, wrong. Missing on the allow. Okay, you need to allow the admin as well. All right. If you have both deny for question mark and asterisk, I wonder what will happen. You should try. I wonder what happened. I think I remember in my demo video, I mixed up or I did a mistake on this deny and then it didn't work. Okay, I remember mentioning it in my video. Okay, so by right, allow roles set to admin, allow roles for staff, and then deny all unauthenticated user. The question marks means unauthenticated user or anonymous user. Okay, because the last part of the question mentioned all users must log in. Must log in means you deny those who didn't log in. Okay, so let me exit. Okay, let's see. How about, I think while we are fresh on the allow deny thing, let's go to our Jamboard. I want to check the answer. Where's our slide? I open my slide first. Chapter 5. Let me question first. And this was a question we were unable to um, discuss the answer, right? Okay, so there should be two approach. Okay, the first here use two different approaches. So the first approach is by separating the setting, okay, for each of the folder. Okay, do the setting in the roots web config, and then another setting in this case the staff folder, right? Okay, and then another approach is you just put everything in your web config root, all the authorization requirements on a single web config in the root folder. To do that, okay, you need to add on to this location element. Okay, set the path accordingly, right? So let's go back to the question. Okay, this one. Mm, If we use text, I find that it's a little ini belum tukar lagi. Hmm. For the admin folder. So what should we put for the admin folder? We deny. Is it already changed? Allow roles admin is correct. The one that I put as blue color is already correct. Or did I saw did I miss it? And then in the stuff folder, someone put this. Allow rows. Yes, we need to allow this. When I check, the allow is missing. Okay, deny all anonymous user. I think this one could be true. Okay, as long as the admin can go in and then you deny all other users, including the staff, right? But initially my answer was this one, okay, the question mark. Do you all agree?
If you star or question mark, does it make a difference?
Star means you deny all the users, meaning including the staff, including the staff.
Then the admin and staff folder both can use the deny all instead of question mark instead of anonymous.
Okay, let's see. Can only access the files in the root and staff can access to all files, and then all users must log in. All users must log in.
That's one
All
for
users
the
must log in means we must deny unauthorized user.
that one for the third one, right?
Louder.
That one's for the third one, right?
The third
The
one,
one only.
the root.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's for the root only, right? And then the other ones we should use deny all instead of deny anonymous.
For mine is I put instead of deny all, I put allow all users in my root web config. Allow all users.
Need to allow all, then can deny anonymous.
Mm. Because all users must log in order to view all the pages. To view all the pages means um, including the child folder.
So the admin and staff folder, we deny all, or we should deny all instead of deny anonymous. Because if you use deny anonymous, we don't know what to do with with the users that log in and then are not staff and admin.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So Noel is inside, right? Okay, good. So this one, all users must log in order to view all the pages. Okay. Allow all users, and then we deny anonymous. Yeah. Good. There's another way of doing this. If you don't have the deny uh, anonymous user in your root, right? Then you can add in additional the deny in the child folder. Okay. Um, is it okay for everyone? Is this answer acceptable logic? If everyone agree means this is our answer.
Yeah, usually agree.
The rest, as you all know, I don't have any answer to the exercises. I asked my CC and then she said that she also asked a student. So I wonder, Wong, do you have answer from Simon Deol? Manatap, the CC already have the answer. I really hope that our answer is the same like them. Let me see, is Wong here? Oh, you don't have the answer. Oh, okay. Farah asks, what is deny user? Deny means you do not allow access. Okay, that one, because Farah, you were absent, kan? It was, yeah. To deal with the authorization of our users, all right? If you want to mention that it's for all users, you use asterisk. Anonymous user or unauthenticated users, you use question mark. And then if you want to mention a specific user, then you can hard-coded it lah. Okay, Eric. So perhaps you can hard-coded your artist as well for your assignment. And then the one that we cannot test out for our practical kan is roles. Okay, so you can either use the users attribute or roles attribute. For us. Somehow we can only use the users. It would be nice if we can also create the roles, okay, and then we can add in additional authorization setting for our web config. So it can either be allow or deny. Okay, let's see. I think Farah, this one should be clear for you. We can deny access, okay, or we can allow access, and then set the users or roles accordingly. Okay. So what's the time now? It's 9:37. How about we go for a 5 minutes break? Is it enough? Do you need longer break? Oh, 5 minutes, okay, yeah? Okay, so I'll be back. See you guys. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. Let me see. When was the last time I went to the campus? Was it for the MQA? When was the MQA interview? Do you remember? Was it last year or earlier this year? Uh, oh, somehow I cannot recall. Jonathan, you were involved in the student interview, right? When was it? Early 2021. Oh yeah, somehow I cannot recall. Wow, what PKPD can do to you. Cannot recall when was the last time you enter office. Oh, March ka? Ah, okay, March. Yeah, that time it was before the lockdown. Yeah. Because they asked whether my PC was in a good working condition. I don't know. I never use it since that day. I only use it for the interview. Okay, and I've not been using my like computer for more than 1 year. Uh, Luckily, I have my bonus money from the insurance. Okay, after years of paying for the policy, I got my bonus money, and I use all my bonus money to buy myself a new laptop. Okay, so in fact, I'm using my own laptop for my work. Wondering whether they will give me a new PC. Okay, so shall we do our chapter 6? Let me see. Any question before I start? Uh,
Ano,
okay. Oh, I need to start the recording, yeah? Record meeting. One moment. Okay, for chapter 6 is the continuation from what we have learned in the previous chapter. I think it was the event driven, where we learn about the when we use the web server control. Okay, if you want to like retain the state, okay, there's a property that we can set to true in our Microsoft Visual Studio. Now, for this particular chapter, it's all about state management. Um, the topics that we will cover would include the very basic HTTP protocol, but I'm sure you all are very familiar with HTTP protocol already. You have been introduced to this protocol since year one, okay, for a diploma as well. Okay, in what other courses? Yeah, your computer network, right? Yep. So what I'll do is just perhaps just do something like a recap, okay, on the HTTP, and then moving on. For our state management, we have several approach. For example, we can use cookie. All right, in the form management last week, okay, chapter 5, we can see that form authentication use cookie to get the user remain authenticated. Um, this one is possible because of the ASP.NET membership management service. Okay, we can also use query string. And then after that, there's a session variable as well as application variable. The diploma students who have taken the GUI and web application development. Hopefully you'll still remember this. Okay, these have been covered. Okay, key, the query string, the session variable, application variable. I hope you'll still remember this. Do you all still remember that? Okay. And then there's another approach is where we can use the cache, okay, to retain the information. And then you all will also be introduced for ASP.NET. We have global.asax file, right? And then based on what we have covered, okay, the various approach, the last subtopic is for you to be able to apply appropriate mechanism to maintain the state. Okay, we're going to start off with the HTTP protocol. Stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's a communication protocol, and then we use it to retrieve our hypertext. Okay, and it's a request response standard lah, okay, between a client and a server. So this is basically how it works. First of all, our client will initiate the request. Okay, establish the TCP connection. Normally it's a port 80 on the host server. And then once the server receives the request, it will send back the resource as a response. So if you go back to the previous slide, this is a request response standard between a client and a server. Let's see, there's a few diagrams shown here. Okay, let's look at this step by step. First step, the client will, okay, initiate the request. Yeah. So example is type in the URL, okay, into the browser, and then what happened next? So first of all, when the user, the client enter www.tarsi.edu.my example, okay, then the DNS need to obtain the IP address for that particular URL. Okay, once we get the reply, the IP address, then we can start the establish the TCP connection, okay, on the server, right, on the port 80 of the web server. Okay, and then once the connection has been established, the HTTP request will be sent to the server. Initially, it will be the get, okay, it will be the get command, whereby it will, in the get command, it will request the web server to provide the URL path. Okay, and the, let me see, here is HTTP 1.1. 1.1 is, what is mentioned here? The most common use protocol, HTTP / 1.1. Okay. This is the HTTP version. Get what index.html, and then hang on. All the browsers, since we are using the same HTTP protocol, should be the same. Yeah. Okay, let me continue. Because when you type www.tarsi.edu.my, in fact, it is HTTP :// correct. So we are definitely using it for request and response. Okay. Oh, by the way, for Noel's batch, have you all taken computer networks? Macam sudah kan?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is where we have the get request, the get command, right? And then the user agent here is specifying that the client is using Google Chrome lah. Okay. The next step is This is where the server will send the HTTP response along with the status code. Normally, if you can check I'm not sure whether for your computer network course you are able to view this. Okay, but then 200 means it's okay. So response will be sent back to the client. 404 means found not found, right? Okay, so if the request is okay, server will send back, okay, with the data requested, which is what index.html, right? Okay, so it will be sent to the client. Now, once the response has been transmitted, then uh, remember earlier on that when we initiate the request, the connection will be created first. So after the response has been transmitted, then it will be disconnected. Connection will be disconnected. So this is where the problem lies. HTTP, it is a stateless protocol. Once it's disconnected, we need to think of a way how to retain the information. Okay. Now, if say after that the client they send another request, means immediately after that the subsequent request, say of the same page index.html, then it's no longer using the get command, but it will be using the post command. Okay. For example, perhaps from the page they type something in the search box. Okay, right? And then this is just to show you all basically how HTTP works. Let me know, is it covered already in your previous course? Any of your previous course about how HTTP protocol works? I'm sure you all have learned this earlier on. Okay. Now, the next topic is about the state. We need to know, because chapter 6 is about state management. So why do we need to manage this state, and what is state? Here, state refers to the current status. Okay, current status for the data maintained by our app, but then it's only for a single user. Therefore, assuming that you have more than one user concurrently accessing the app at one time, then your app must maintain a separate state for each user, so that you will remember, oh, for this user log in and then is trying to change the existing password. For this another user is trying to do something else. Another user didn't do anything, just log in, and then after that log out from the app. So here we already see in the third bullet, state refers to the current status. So current status, where is it stored? Okay, it is stored in the variables, okay, the memory location. Therefore, the contents of the memory location, which is the current status, so it can either be the property of variable or any other data, will be stored, okay, at any given point of time in your program execution. Okay, just now when we look at how the HTTP protocol works, okay, which also was mentioned in our earlier chapters, that HTTP is stateless. Stateless means without state, meaning it cannot retain the current status lah. Okay, so it does not keep track of state between round trips from the client to the server and back. Okay, so whenever there's a new request, it's considered as standalone. And then standalone means, oh, this is a new request from a new user, even though the user has already like sent the request earlier on, right? Once the browser that makes the request receive the response, the application terminates and the state is lost, just like what I mentioned here. Okay, let's take a look at it one more time. So the connection is disconnected. Okay, so this is the overall situation of using HTTP as a communication protocol. It's a standard. Okay, it's a request response standard between a client and a server. Therefore, since we are learning ASP.NET Framework, okay, what are the state management options available for us? Okay, what are the state management options that ASP.NET supports? For client side, okay, we can use cookies. We can also use query strings. Okay, so cookies and query strings. I think we have already covered view state, control state. Was it? Is that mentioned? But I remember seeing hidden fields. Okay, from our previous chapters. So that's why we will not cover the first three, but for chapter 6, we will look at cookies and query strings. This is for client side. Then how about the server side? Then for server side, we have these options. We have the application state, we have the session state, and also cache. In fact, we also have a cache can be listed here as a client state management option as well. The one that we will not cover would be the using the profile properties and database support. Okay. So how about we go to the first option, which is the cookie. Okay. Let me see. For the diploma students, I'm sure you all are familiar with this cookies and query string. Let me see whether you all still remember. Put in the chat box. How well do you remember this from your GUI and web application development course? For DSF student, you're also taking this course, right? You have taken this course, correct? Batch, Jeremiah batch, and how about Ivan batch, DSF? I believe you all have taken GUI and web app Java, using Java and Glassfish server. I I thought there's a delay in the response is due to you were trying to like find where's your folder. But then do you remember taking this course? For Sharp, I also don't remember because for the recently GUI web app has been taken over by Miss Alice, and then previously it was me. In between, okay, Miss Alice, myself, Miss Alice, myself. So I'm also not sure whether it was me who taught Sharp. Maybe it was my Alvin batch. Yeah, I cannot remember. But for Russell batch, I think it should be very recent, right before you graduate, is it? After your internship? Mm, 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 mm. Okay. So for Noel's batch, have you all learned anything about cookies, query strings? Belum lagi kan? So this one would be the first one, not cookies. Okay. I wonder whether Farah is here. Farah, are you here? Okay. Now, let's start with the first option, which is the cookie. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back. So the issue is HTTP communication protocol is stateless. It does not keep track of the state. But for our web app to work, we need to manage our state, right? Okay, so for client side, we will cover the cookies option and also the query string option. And for the server side, we will cover application state, session state, and cache. So we start with cookies. So cookies are in fact files, files created by websites, and then normally it will store your browsing information. Okay. Recently I tried to. When was it? I think it was last week. I need to renew my other cars road tax. Currently, that car is used by my nephew. So due to be renew the road tax, so my brother told me I need your IC and so on. Go to my SICAP, create an account, and then from there you can make the payment, something like that lah. Okay, so I went to this JPJ website. Create account with my SICAP, but then somehow what I want to do didn't get through. Always saying that please oh, what's the option? Yeah, the message remove, clear, right, regarding the pop-up, the cookie and everything, the pop-up. So I already went to the setting. Okay, allow all pop-ups. Okay, cannot work. So I go to the setting, allow all cookies. I even allow all cookies pun tak boleh juga. So I switch from Google Chrome. I try Microsoft Edge. Same thing. I allow everything, even though the recommended setting normally is much more stricter, right? Okay, allow cookies. And then if you go and read the cookie setting in your web browser, okay, you can do it now. You can go to your web browser, find the cookie setting. There's explanation given. Normally, if you allow cookie, then it will cannot really remember the message, but it says that it will not interrupt with the application. All right, so cookies are really necessary. So it doesn't work. So what was the solution? So my brother, I gave my ID to my brother and then he did it for me. Then I asked, which web browser did you use? And then he said, I use Firefox. Okay, yeah, I didn't use Firefox. So somehow I'm not sure. Okay, so if your web app, okay, using cookies, this is one of the things that might be an issue or perhaps concern. The user themselves, they might like turn off the cookie or they will delete cookie manually and so on. Okay, so that's something for you to think of lah. All right. So cookies again, these are files created by website. They will store your browsing information. Like for myself, I should have like login into my SICAP. Okay, I've selected, I want to renew my road tax. Okay, I've already selected my bank. Okay, which bank, and then after that I click proceed to pay. That's where it doesn't go through. Okay, so the browsing information can include site preferences or any of your profile information. Okay, the two types of cookies that you need to know would be number one, the first party cookies. The first party cookies are set by the website. Okay, the website domain listed in your address bar. And then there's another third party cookies that is set by other domain sources. For example, for the advertisement. And then these are embedded on the web page. Okay, the two types of cookies. Now, cookies, what do we have in this file? It is a set of properties. Okay, a set of properties, a name value pairs. If you want to maintain more information, then separate by comma. It's always name value pairs that will be stored in the user's browser or on the user's disk. Okay, the hard disk. Now let me show you. So here when it send the response, oh, I think it's not in this particular diagram, but from our previous chapter, which is chapter 5, the animation. Okay, the one showing the form authentication with the cookies. Okay, I think you can refer to that. The example of the name value pairs are given. The username is Emily. The dog's name is Stout. Coffee that she's selected is Starbucks. Okay. So the preferences, I think this is what she typed in or selected in the page. And then there's one more that we see, the expires. Okay, the expires property set to that particular date. Now, how can we use cookie? Normally, cookie is used by web server to store the information on the client's computer. And then if it is used by the web server, meaning it can only be retrieved by the same web server only. So the next time this user, Emily, access the same page, okay, then it will be able to remember that, okay, her dog's name is Stout and her favorite coffee is Starbucks. And then what can we do about this info? Then perhaps while she's browsing through the page, then say if there's any information about related to dogs or related to Starbucks, then it will be shown to this particular user, Emily. Okay. Let me see. There's one new elective for the diploma in IT, which is the mobile e-commerce. I'm not sure whether Russell's page has selected mobile e-commerce, but I remembered Willie, he took it, this particular elective. One of the reason why we need to keep track of the users info is for our e-commerce purpose. Okay, we want to attract user, keep on coming back to our page. Okay, give them a very nice user experience. Okay, it's nice that people can remember you. What if you go to the same website? Okay, go to the page, and then it seems that they know you. All right. Now, viewing cookies from the browser. Viewing cookies from the browser, it depends. The one that is shown here is for Chrome and Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer, I no longer have IE, but I have Microsoft Edge. It seems that for IE, it's stored in the temporary internet files. And for Chrome, you just need to go to the settings, okay, and then find the cookies. Okay, you can see if you select cookies, you can see where is it originating from which website. Locally stored data would be the one that is stored on the client's browser, how many cookies, and so on. Okay, but then I believe it will not necessarily look, the user interface look like this, because we have updates already, Windows, and then we have a latest version of Chrome's. Okay, so it might not look the same as what we have in this slide. Okay, now your web app. Okay, when we develop our web application, we can send a cookie. Okay, so we can send a cookie through the HTTP response, send it back through the HTTP response. So each time the browser sends the HTTP request, it will attach any cookies that are associated with that server, which is shown clearly for form authentication, how ASP.NET form authentication use cookie to get the user remain authenticated. Yeah, if you want to see the diagram, I think it's available in chapter 5. Yeah, it's in chapter 5. Let's go to the next slide. There are two types of cookies. Okay, the first one is a session cookie, and also another one is persistent cookie. This time, it's not based on where it originates. First party cookie originate from the site domain. The third party cookies originate from other domain sources, for example, the advertisement. Okay, this time you need to differentiate between this cookie in terms of the duration where the information is kept. Okay, how long it will exist. For a session cookie, from the name session, it will only exist for the duration of the browser session. So that's how short it is for the session cookie. And then I also notice nowadays, whenever you access any web page, most of the web pages now, they will show, okay, we are using cookies, accept all setting or manage my cookies. So normally the one that is activate would be essential cookies, and then there are other cookies like performance cookies and so on. So they allow user to control the cookies that are available for them to select their preference. Okay, so session cookie exists only for the duration of the browser session. Therefore, it is normally kept in the browser's memory. Okay, another one is a persistent cookie. Persistent cookie, sorry, I think I need to grab my water. Okay, after this, yeah, I need a break. A persistent cookie is not kept on the browser's memory, but it is kept on the user's disk. Okay, it's kept on the user's disk, and then it will be retained until the cookie's expiration date. So you can set the setting, okay, the expire, yeah, something like this, expire what date, right? So session cookie, persistent cookie. Now I think I can give you all a break, and while I give you another break, you can have a look at this question, the first bullet. You can put in the chat box how we use cookies to store the client preferences. So you can put your answer in the chat box. like what is mentioned here. Okay, cookies are files created by websites you have visited that store the browsing information, site preferences, or profile information. Okay, so you can think of an example and put in the chat box. Okay, let me stop the recording. And I'll continue after this. Okay, so I'm back. I'll start the recording, yeah. Okay, is allow cookie dangerous? Mm, Since it is stored on a browser, it can be hijacked. Okay, it can be intercepted, right? And then how long? Mm, is there a setting to set it to be forever? That's a good question. Forever session, the expiry expire is forever. That's a good question. Yeah, normally when we read the message, your session has expired, please re-login. Means your web browser cookies are being cleared, removed, or blocked. Okay, let me see. There's a question someone asked in Stack Overflow. What is the lifetime? Oh, but then this is a session cookie. The lifetime of a session cookie is like you close the browser, then that's it. Oh, this one is in white hat security. Did someone ask about set cookie expire? Uh, oh, everyone is actually talking about the session cookie. Let me see the persistent cookie. How to differentiate between I think this is nice. This is from the white hat security, application security. In terms of security, this is a nice website. I can see, oh, there's no answer for the question. So let me show you what I have here. Okay, like to remember sign on credential user has previously saved. Okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, hang on. maybe you all cannot think of an example. It's okay. Um, I'll share you this site. The time now is 10:31. I guess I need to speed up my lecture and finish off our chapter 6. Okay. Now, to create cookies, okay, let me go and get my water first. Okay, back. Uh, okay. To create cookies, we have two methods. The first method is just we first of all create the cookies identifier, right? And then we set the value using two different statements. Okay, the example is given there. The data type or the class name that we use is the HTTP cookie. And then this is, remember, it's object-oriented, yeah, C# object-oriented. So there's a new keyword there. Okay, this is how we instantiate a new object. Okay, new HTTP cookie. The name of the cookie is last search. And then we give the value by using the dot, okay, followed by the value property. So perhaps it's a value that the user entered in a text box, then you can also set that in the cookie value. So it depends on the cookie identifier that you use. Okay, if it's cookie, then it's cookie, right? The second method is the same thing, but then you combine both. Okay, you combine both in one statement. Okay, so you have HTTP cookie identifier, and then look at the new keyword. This time you are using another different constructor. For this particular constructor, it is receiving one parameter, and this constructor receives two parameters, means you can set the cookie's name and the value at the same time, right? So two methods of creating cookies. To read the cookies, we have the request, okay, request, and then we specify our cookie name, request.cookies, and then within the square bracket specify the cookie name. Don't forget the value, okay? And then the example is shown there. If the value, all right, is not equal to null, then we will read the cookies value. Now there's a question: why do we need to check for null? Because if it's null, do you still need to read the value? Definitely, there's no need. So that's why you must always check whether the value is null or not. If it's not null, then you can read the cookie using the request cookie value. Now, let's look at some of the available HTTP cookies property, because this is the class, yeah, okay? We create this object, okay, HTTP cookie object. So we have seen there are two constructors. Now let's take a look at the property for HTTP cookie class. We have expires property. Okay, we have the name, and then we also have the value. Now there's another class, we call it as the HTTP cookie collection. Here, the cookies will be managed in a collection that you have in this class, that you have instantiated from this class. Therefore, we have a property called count. So we will know how many cookies are available in that particular class. Okay, and you can, because it is a collection of cookies, right? So you can add cookies into the collection, you can remove all cookies using clear, or if you just want to remove a particular cookie, then specify which cookie is it, the cookie name, and use the remove method. Okay, now what is the advantages of cookies? First of all, it is stored on a client's computer. So for web server wise, space is not needed to store the user specific information. Therefore, in terms of the performance on the web server part should be no problem. Okay, and then another advantage is that we can set these small amounts of information, okay, for a very long periods of time. But I have yet to check whether we can store the cookies forever lah. Okay, let me see. Small amounts of information, like the example we have, what is the username, what is pet's name, and then what is a favorite coffee. Okay, so based on this information, then we use it to customize the user's visit. Okay, in terms of disadvantages, yeah, I mentioned about this one earlier on. Users can choose not to accept cookies. They can block the cookies. They can manually delete the cookies. And then since we can only store small amount of information, we are unable to save large objects in our cookie. Okay, the thing that we can set is something like the string, the date, or a numeric data types. So with these advantages and these disadvantages, when should we use cookie? Okay, considering these advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so we use cookie only when we want to store small piece of data. Okay, and then this data should not be that crucial. And then we should never use cookies to store sensitive information. Okay, just now there's a question whether it is dangerous using these cookies. Um, since it is stored on the browser, it can be hijacked. So there's a possibility that people can intercept and then use your cookie information and so on. So therefore, we should never use cookies to store sensitive information. Okay. And when you want your cookie to expire after a certain length of time, then that's good. However, then again, look at the disadvantages. You need to consider that cookies can be blocked. I think the trend nowadays is by like showing pop-up message for the user. Okay, we are using cookie, accept, click OK. If you want to manage the cookies, then allow the user to like select which type of cookies they want to be enabled. All right, since we already know that cookies can be blocked lah. All right. Now, the second option for client-side state management is by using query string. I'm sure you have seen this, where we can use either your anchor tag, the A element, okay, the anchor tag or the link tag, as well as the hyperlinks to pass information from one page to another. Okay, to pass one value, okay, here, example, we start with the URL, the one in green, and then the information, okay, we start with the question mark. Okay, after the question mark is the name and value pair. So over there, you can see that the product is TX0002. So this is how we pass information okay, from one page to another. So what if you want to pass more than one values? Then you use the ampersand symbol. So you can see the example, the one at the bottom. So category is one and the product is TX0002. So this is basically how to use query string to pass info from one page to another. Now, these are the three examples when we can use a query string. Number one is using your anchor tag. Number two is using your button. If you use the button, then you place the query string at the postback URL attribute. Okay, and then if you want to use it for response dot redirect, then you place it inside the brackets. Okay, so again, you need to mention the URL first, followed by the question mark, and then followed by the name value pair. So for the response redirect example, we can see that the category is taken from the text box. Okay, txt category ID dot text. Now, if you can pass info, all right, so you need to read the value that has been passed. So to do that, we use request dot query string and mention the name of the particular name value pair. So the example, the first example that we see is assuming that the query string is passed to that particular URL, product.aspx. Okay, so when the user click on the link, then the category TX product FOG01 is passed to that particular page, product.aspx. So we have category and product. So how to retrieve the value? We use back the name, category, and product, right? So request.query string, specify the name of the attribute, which is category, and also product. And normally for our coding, we will store it into a variable. Okay, so if it's a string, then make sure you declare appropriate variable type string. Now, next, before we go to the server-side state management option, we need to first understand the scope. Okay, so to understand the scope, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 scope. When you learn your programming language, you will definitely learn this when you cover the declaring of the variables. Okay, when you learn about creating functions or methods, so you need to know what is the scope. Now, let me go back to the server side. Okay, for the server side, we can see that ASP.NET support application state and session state. So in order for us to understand that, we must know the scope first. Right? Okay, function means only within the function. Page, only within the page. Session, it will be always visible from page to page. Okay, for that particular session. And then the longest one would be, not the longest, the widest scope would be application, because the variable will be visible throughout the whole application lifetime. So the example is given here on the diagram. Okay, so if you create a variable application variable client, then it will exist throughout the whole application lifetime. Okay, and then a session, it will only exist during that particular session, but then it is visible from one page to another page. If that particular variable, it is not a session variable, but it is just a normal variable, like what we have there is a variable called his variable, value is set to Bob. So only available for that particular web page. And then if say you have a function, and then in your function you create another variable and you call it as myvar set it to build. This myvar variable is only available in the function, means that it's a local variable, right? Now that you have understand the scope, let's go to what does a session means. Okay, a session means the time spent to browse the site, starting when you view the page, means when you first start browsing until you close your browser. Okay, so the value is retained until the session is ended, or perhaps the user leaves the website. So normally, whenever you have one visitor, they will be assigned with an individual session. And then we call it as the session variables. Session variables, again, it is not shared between different users. Okay, so a session object will be created for each uh, a session. Okay, this is how we create a session variable. Um, you can name each of the session. Okay, perhaps you want to create a session variable to store the username, another session variable to store the user email, another variable perhaps just to store a number, say quantity, and then another session, perhaps you want to store the, this is a list, okay, a student list. So that is various ways for you to create according to what data type. So it can be a string, you can read it from a text box, it can be a number, it can be an object. Now, so how do we read or retrieve the session variables? Then because it is mentioned, we can store any type. What you need to do is to do some typecasting. Okay, you need to change the data type by using typecasting. For the username, if you want to change it to string, then you can use toString. Okay, for quantity, then you need to use any of the integer conversion. And then for the list object, then you need to mention the list. Okay, this is a class and it is storing string values in the list. So you need to do typecasting as appropriately. Okay, the session will normally end when the user leave the website or when the session ended. So we can control this. How to control this? If you do not want to use the default timeout, which is 20 minutes, then you can use the timeout property and then change the value, the 20 minutes value. The value is in minutes. Now, for session variables, we create from the session class. What are the available methods? Almost the same like cookies can. We have the add method. We have the clear. Clear means we clear all the values from the session, the values. But then the session will still be active. If you just want to remove a particular session variable, say you have created several session variables, then you can choose which one to delete by specifying the name. Okay, and abandon method is to force to end the current session. So when should you use session? Only when you want to maintain user-specific information. Because remember that, let me show you. Okay, each visitor will have their own individual session. Okay, and then it is not shared among different users. So you will use session when you want to maintain user specific info. And then one thing about session is that we can store any variable type. Okay. Oh yeah, just to give you another reminder, we are now looking at the option for client side. No, not client side, server side. Okay, we session and application variables can be used for the server side state management option. Okay, look at the last one. This is something for you to consider. If you receive many concurrent users, or perhaps you place a very large object, like over here, you can pass a list. Say you have like hundreds of names in the list. Okay, not hundreds, perhaps thousands, depends. Then your web server performance will degrade. Okay, just something for you to consider. Next one is the application object. So if we go back to the scope, okay, the difference between session and application. For application variable, it is visible throughout the whole application lifetime. For a session, it's available for a particular session for all the pages. But then as long as for that particular session. Okay, now we look at application object. We use this when we want to have to maintain the state or information globally across our entire website, can be accessed by all the pages and also by all the users of the application. Okay, similar to session, can store any data types as well. Example of global state would be like discount, tax rates, tips of the day, news update. Perhaps you want to record number of times your banner advertisement was clicked, or the most common thing we normally see in a website is the running count of the visitor. So how do we create the application variables? For session, we use session. For application variables, definitely we use the application class with the name, can store any type, same thing. So the two examples are given there. The first one is to store string. The second one is to store integer, a number. Okay, so if you can create your variables, you can set value to your variables. Next thing would be we need to retrieve. Okay, how do we retrieve? How do we read? Here, again, similar to the session, since that allows us to store any data type. So what happens is that you must do typecasting as needed. Okay. The application methods almost the same. Okay, there's an add method, there's a clear. When you use the clear method, it will remove all the application variables from the application state collection. And if you do not want to remove all, you can remove a specific application variable by using the remove method. Now, there's another one. Okay, on the next slide, there's a lock and unlock. A lock means we lock the application collection so that only the current user can access it. When we unlock it, it means that other users can access it. Normally, it happens when you are doing a CRUD, not CRUD, just cut, CUD, create, update, and delete. So when one user do some updating on a record, then we should lock it. Then we will prevent other users from doing editing at the same time. Okay, until the first user has committed to the modification. Okay, how about the property for the application class? Count. So we can count the number of items in the collection. Okay, next is the global.asax file. If you want to work with application events, this is the file. Okay, it's a code-only file that provides event handlers to respond to our application event. So only scripts and objects are allowed. We cannot include a script that produce output like your HTML tag or response.write. Okay. So we have these various events, application events. Application start means when the first page is requested. This is when the web server is restarted or when the global SX files is edited. The application end event is when the application is about to terminate. And if you want to raise unhandled error that has occurred, then this is the application error event. And we also have session start, session end. Okay, start when the user starts the session, session end when the user session ends. And the last event is not covered in our syllabus. It's on the migrate anonymous, allowing anonymous user to log in and allow migration of profile. Yeah, this is not mentioned in our previous slides as well. So when should we use application? When we want to maintain global info. Look at the second one. We should not use it to maintain state on a user by user basis. Because imagine you have like 100 user accessing at the same time, say to reserve a movie ticket, a concert ticket. Wow, this is a very well-known artist. Then what happened? Drain your service resources. Your server might might be like unresponding. Okay. And then there's one more. Cannot use to store anything that you need to keep. Because this is only meant for things like, let me go back here. Things like the discount terms, the tax rates. These are not the things that we want to keep, but then we just want it to be available throughout our website. Okay, just like a global variable. Oh, the time now is 1 minute to 11. I think I'm finishing already with the last one. So let me just finish off. This is the third option, which is cache. Okay, caching means temporary keep the frequently used data. So there are three types: output caching, fragment caching, and data caching. Output caching means the whole page output caching. Fragment, from the name fragment, means only a partial page caching. Okay, so let's start with the output caching. Output caching means we allow the entire contents of a page to be kept temporary to fulfill the client request. So what does it mean? It can save our post-rendered content, no need to regenerate again. This is so nice. Sometimes when I want to register something, okay, my internet connection is lag or cannot go through, so I try again. Oh, okay, I need to do it all over again. There are certain scenario where we want to save post-rendered content, means the info that we have that has been rendered in the page. Okay. Now, this is what happened without the cache. Whenever you do a request, okay, it will need to go through the page, okay, and then over there, if there's anything that needs to be created, all right, then it will go through that particular process, and then it will get the send the response. Now, what if you have subsequent requests? You need to go back to your page handler All right, and then we get the response. This is without cache. Okay, because somehow, okay, hang on, that somehow here, um, you do not set the post-rendered content. So what does it mean? It needs to be regenerated again. Next time it is requested again. So if you have a cache, then it can be served up again when any subsequent requests are made to the server. So let me show you that. Okay, next. So with cache, okay, we can serve it up after the first request. Okay, so once it is stored at the ASP.NET cache, okay, the next time you, because you already have done output cache, you kept all the page content in a cache. So next time, then it is just retrieved from the cache lah. Output cache is the whole page being cached. Duration is set to 60. The attribute vary by parameter. That is a important attribute. Okay. The duration is set to 60 is a number of seconds. How many seconds the page is stored in the cache. So remember, cache is like a temporary storage for frequently used data. Yeah, so it's in seconds. For cookies, in minutes. Okay, the vary by parameter or by control, which one is the default? Here, if you do not want to do any a parameter, or what is the other one, control, then you can set it to none. Okay, you don't want to vary your cache output either by control or parameters, you can set it to none. So explanation is given in the next slide. Hang on. If you set the vary by parameter, means we can cache our output depending on the query string. Only those included in our query string. We already know output cache is for this throughout the page, right? You cache the whole page. Now, if it's by control, then you can do the cache output depending on your control value. So these particular attributes, what happen is that it can allow you to cache multiple version of the same page. Okay, multiple version depending on, say, your query string lah. Somehow, if you don't want to like query the whole contents of your page, then you can use this by parameter and then set which parameter that you want to store in your cache. There's another one is by the header. So depending on your request HTTP header, and one more is by custom string. In fact, it's by the browser type. Okay, now let's move on to the second type, which is fragment caching. Just now, the output caching is for the whole page. For fragment caching, it means parts of a page will be cached and other parts will be dynamic. So we can do this if we have a cache of user control. You need to set the shared to true attributes, and we can have the user control output shared among the multiple pages. So when should we use the output caching? When should we use fragment caching? Normally for the whole page cache, then you will use this when the page changes, say every few hours. Okay, for fragment caching means only partial page caching. This is normally used when the page generally it doesn't really change, it stays the same, but then only certain element in your page will be changed regularly. In this case, the one that is changed regularly, then it should be dynamic. And then the one that stay the same, generally stay the same, that is the only part that you need to do the fragment caching lah. So I think I'm done with the three options for the client, not client, server side state management option. So we have seen a lot of syntax, okay, in this chapter. Hopefully, we can use the what we have covered today in tomorrow's practical lab exercise. Okay, demo first lah. All right. So next week will be about validation control, which is will be included in your second part of your assignment after your prototype. And with this, I end my lecture. Thank you so much. I'll stop the recording now. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Miss.